All right, we're going to turn to the Tanakh once again in Daniel chapter 9, verse 26. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off. Keep that word cut off in mind. I'm going to tell you what it means. But not for himself. Not for himself. That's also key, because you're going to need to remember what I'm telling you here. He's going to be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. This has happened. Yerushalayim was completely destroyed in 70 AD. So was the temple in 70 AD, just as Messiah Yahushua prophesied to happen. And the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. The word cut off is karath, is the Hebrew 3772. It means to cut off, cut down, cut off a body part, cut out, eliminate, or kill, or cut a covenant. And I'm going to put before you that not only was he cut off from the land of the living, not only was he put to death, but through his death he also cut a covenant, which is part of the meaning of this word. And to prove this, we're going to turn to Isaiah, Yeshayahu 53. Yeshayahu 53. Very important to understand these prophecies. Okay? All right. Hallelujah. Who has believed our report, and to whom was the arm of Yahuwah revealed? For he grew up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or splendor that we should look upon him, nor appearance that we should desire him. Despised and rejected by men, a man of pains and sorrows, and as one from whom the face is hidden, being despised, and we did not consider him. Truly he has borne our sicknesses and carried our pains, yet we reckon him stricken, smitten by Eloah, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgression. He was crushed for our crookedness. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. We all like sheep went astray, each one has turned to his own way, and Yahuwah has laid on him the crookedness of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, but he did not open his mouth. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shears is silent, but he did not open his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment. As for his generation, who considered that he shall be cut off from the land of the living? For the transgression of my people he was stricken. He was appointed a grave with the wrong and with the rich at his death, because he had done no violence, nor was deceit in his mouth. But Yahuwah was pleased to crush him. He laid sickness on him, that when he made himself an offering for guilt, he would see a seed. He would prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahuwah prosper in his hand. He would see the result of the suffering of his life and be satisfied. Through his knowledge, my righteous servant makes many righteous, and he bears their crookedness. It's very important, my friends. And verse 12, he also says, therefore I give him a portion among the great, and he divides the spoil with the strong, because he poured out his being unto death, and was counted with the transgressors. He bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. My friends, oh my friends, I can feel the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah moving on me right now. Do you see how obvious this is throughout the Tanakh? That Yahuwah would indeed have a son, that Daniel explicitly says that Messiah would be cut off, that Yeshayahu says that he would be cut off from the land of the living, that he would bear the sickness, that he would bear the grief and the sins, and that he would make atonement. Remember, Daniel chapter 9 says that he would be cut off, but not for himself. He's cut off for you, for me, for our children. This is the Besorah. This is the good news, right from the Old Testament, as they call it. The Besorah is every single word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yahuwah. Yahushua taught from the law and the prophets when he was on the earth. We need to get back to the understanding, my friends, because we know the scriptures say many things, and there are many denominations and sects and religions in this world who are all created to manipulate the word of Yahuwah and give you a different understanding than what has been revealed by his set-apart prophets. We need to understand that Yahushua has been cut off from the land of the living, as Messiah would be. And now he is ascended. Remember, who is ascended or descended? What is his name and what is his son's name? His son has been cut off. The anointed one has been cut off. But as the Talim says, you will not allow your Holy One to see corruption. And it also says that I know that Yahuwah will save his anointed, his Mashiach. That's what the word anointed means. So now, he is standing at the right hand of Yahuwah. He is ascended to the right hand of Yahuwah. We're going to look at some of the scriptures that talk about Yahuwah's right hand so that we understand what exactly this means. Very, very beautiful. Very beautiful. Let's see. We are going to look at Exodus chapter 15, verse 6. This is the song of Moshe, which is called Moses. The song of Moshe after they crossed the Red Sea. We know in the book of Revelation that the saints are going to be singing the song of Moshe and the song of the Lamb. And this is how this is possible, because in chapter 15, verse 6, he says, Thy right hand, O Yahuwah, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Yahuwah, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. In verse 12, he says, Thou stretched out thy right hand, the earth swallowed them. So if Yahushua has been elevated to the right hand of Yahuwah, then he is the gloriousness of Yahuwah. He is the power, the outstretched arm. Yahuwah says many times throughout the scriptures, I have delivered them with my mighty right hand. And he will bring salvation with a mighty right hand. Remember the name of Yahuwah. His son is Yahushua. The name of Yahuwah is presented before you right now from right to left in the very ancient paleographic Hebrew that predates that was found in the Dead Sea, and it is a picture on the right of a hand. And in the next letter you will see at the right hand, you will see a man with his hands lifted, praising, worshiping Yahuwah. This means, it is the breath of his name. You see hand, and then you see a man. Hand, behold, is what this means. The man is beholding something. And then you have a wall, which is the stake. Then you have another behold. So literally the message of the Father's name is hand, behold, stake, behold. And also within the pictures you also see the mighty right hand, and then you see a man at the right hand of this hand. Okay? Very important, beautiful pictures here. The good news is within the Father's hand. The good news is within his very name. Hand behold, nail behold. And then if you look at the Son's name, his name is Yahushua, which means Yahuwah is salvation. So we see that the Father's name points to the Son. The Son's name points to the Father. When the Son was on the earth, the Father spoke from the heavens and said, This is my beloved Son, hear him. And all the people knew that this was speaking of the Son of David, the Son that would come from the loins of David. Okay, and so the Father, when Yahushua was on the earth, said, Hear him. He didn't say this about any other prophet. Never. Never has he said from anywhere like that, this is my servant, hear him. But with his Son, he says, hear him. Because the word that was in the Son is the word of Yahuwah. For in the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh, and it dwelt among us, and we did not know it. The Word was in the beginning. We need to understand the very first revelation in Yahuchanan, John, the disciple, is in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with Yahuwah, and the Word was Yahuwah. It's very important to understand, my friends. Yahuwah cannot be separated from his own word. He cannot be separated from his own Son. His Son worked righteousness in the earth. That is the reason the grave could not contain him, because he kept the Torah. And within the Torah, there is a promise. Moshe, when he gave the Torah, says, today I've given you life and death. Choose life. If you keep these commandments, you will live. Surely Yahushua, he did not break the commandments, and he does live. He is elevated and been elevated to the very right hand of Yahuwah. Praise Yah, according to the Tanakh, which is called the Old Testament. So this is very beautiful. We see that in Exodus 15 verse 12 how he says, thou stretches out thy right hand, the earth swallows them up. This is a picture of how when Yahushua will be judge, and the earth, Sheol, will swallow up the unrighteous in the lake of fire.